If they do that, the Cougars will be very, 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 very tough to beat.
Off the window, no. Roberts tried to get it. Shed for the win. Got it.
Just with 14 points, but you just look, the way that he dominated the game was in controlling the pace and making smart decision after decision.
Coleman by Slamma Jam.
Go to pizza spot before or after.
The dream is alive for Houston. Go Cougs! Let's go!
Welcome into another episode of Let's Rage Coogs, presented by the Saxenian Family. A big thank you to each and every single person that's taking their time out of their Monday night to join us following the 12th ranked Houston Cougars victory over the TCU Horned Frogs, 65-46 from inside of the Fertitta Center. The Houston Cougars improved to 11-3 with the win, 3-0 in conference play. And joining me, as always, Dayon Dunlap. And we are also joined by a special guest today, Jamar Thorpe, who played for the University of Houston Cougars men's basketball team back during the 2005-06 season and the 2006-07 season. Jamar, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Man, I'm happy to be here, man. Go Cougs.
Yes, sir. Dayon, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here after another Coug W.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Let's get right into it because it was a very interesting and a little bit of an odd game. Houston opened up on fire offensively, did not miss, 6 for 6 from the field, including three-pointers. They jumped out to an early lead. Then they kind of hit a wall, and they went on a drought to end the first half. I kind of had a few leaks on defense to end it, and then in the second half, we're kind of trying to find some footing, and then they just flipped the switch towards the middle of the second half, and they never looked back, and they were able to build that double-digit lead and got it up to over 20 points. In the end up winning by 19 points, and really, they tightened down the hatches, held TCU to just 46 points. Emmanuel Sharp was very pivotal in that run to kind of put TCU away, but a lot of players played well in this game. Let's just start off going around the table, for lack of a better phrase. Dayon, I'll go to you first. What did you see in this game, and what just are your overall thoughts from Houston's victory over the Horned Frogs?
Well, during that drought, I think I want to start with the drought because I think that's what kind of worries me about this team. And it kind of stuck out. And I think against better competition in the Big 12, or better teams that I should say in the Big 12, I think that can really have Houston struggle with putting the ball in the hoops. I would love to get Jamar's take on what you've seen from this team. And from years past, they had a guard who can really put the ball on the floor and get their own and get a bucket. But this year's team doesn't really have that, and TCU did their scouting report and really tried to limit J1 from getting the ball in the paint to kind of initiate the offense and getting the ball in the paint. And so from this team, I think they still struggle in spurts when they don't have someone getting the ball inside the paint and creating open shots from catch and shoots. So what have you seen offensively, and what can this team do to continue to generate offense but not having a guard like they can get it wop off the dribble and get inside the paint and create for others?
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's a stagnant offense. It's not a go-to guy who's going to get you a bucket. It's a total team effort. We rely on our defense. We've always relied on our defense. Houston has always been known for playing defense, and coach is not going to let them do anything less than exceptional defense.
Yeah.
It triggers our offense. It starts the fast break. You got Jawan, protecting the paint, blocking shots. He had 2 blocks today. Tugler had 3 blocks today. You know what I'm saying? Like, in order for us to get to where we need to be, we need somebody to throw the ball to get a bucket. And that's been like the thorn in our back for a while. Even with Shed, I mean, he wasn't necessarily a bucket getter, but he got people good open shots where he created the offense and they finished.
He could break the defense down and get in the paint.
Yeah. And I like, so once you said that, I was like, man, you hit it on the head. You've been paying attention. Like, it's always been our offense that's been a struggle. When we have our laps on defense, that's when we lose games because we have trouble scoring consistently. It's still a great team. It's a total team effort every game, and that's what our strength is as a team. But we don't have, on a scouting report, they're not going to be like, oh, this individual is going to do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Cryer, I mean, he's our main offensive option besides Sharp. Juwan, he handles the load in the post. But ultimately, when teams start to scout us and find the weaknesses of those players, we struggle. But we don't struggle as much because our defense
Defense.
and our rebounds and our intensity, like that's what's always going to help us win games. We're always going to have a chance to win because of that.
Do you think that could potentially put a ceiling on this team, or is it just a matter of they have to? Yeah, I'm curious. Do you think that
It
this team has a ceiling?
um I wouldn't say they necessarily have a ceiling, only because like, well, when you come across the Dukes and players like that with great offensive players and things like that, somewhat. But overall, because of the depth that we have, we got guys coming off the bench that are matching the intensity of the starters.
Yeah.
They can go anywhere else in any other country or any other team and start. So we have a strong bench that, we have Francis. I mean, he's been hurt, but I love him. I've been loving him since he's there. He's super athletic. He doesn't even know his potential yet.
Yeah.
I just feel like personally, I would like to see him playing more.
Same.
Um, I, I,
I've been screaming that.
he's a freak athlete. I mean, I don't know if you see the way that guy jumps, but it's like it's league level already. You know what I mean? Like he has things that you can't teach. You can just throw it up there and he can go get it. You want to talk about jumping? He's jumping with the best of them. Terrence, I like him. He's still young. He has a lot to learn, but he's going to be a good player. But as of right now, I just feel like we have a solid team, and we just need a little bit more to get over that hump as far as winning the national championship.
I think a good point that you made was how the rebounding kind of leads to transition. That's something I think another thing this team can do this year to be able to try to limit as much having to execute in the half court set. I think they had 13 fast break points tonight and limited TCU to 5. That's another way to get the ball up the court and get unscripted points versus having to execute in a half court set against a set defense. But you mentioned the bench, man. Malik Wilson, since conference has started, Malik Wilson has really come into his own. It's fine. It's kind of really where he picked off last year. He's more confident, assertive, getting to the goal,
Yeah,
really knowing what he needs to do, and he's excelling.
yeah. I'm a fan of his as well. I mean, I'm a fan of Mercy Miller. I mean, he's just young and he has to get the opportunity. He has to earn his stripes right now, and that's what he's doing. With the minutes that he gets, he's fearless. He's out there and he's giving 100% effort. And I feel like next year he's going to have an opportunity to play some big minutes.
TI7791 on YouTube says solid defense. Offense picked it up and flowed when the situation calls for it. He loved it. It was really kind of a signature Houston Cougars win, like we've been accustomed to the past few years. Really started with their defense, and that ignited Houston's offense in that spurt in the second half. Obviously, always a good thing when the Cougars protect their home court advantage.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Scott Doak says that moving Juwan Roberts from the base to the top of the key was the key difference when Houston kind of turned it around offensively in that second half. I think one of the other things that you mentioned, Dayon, is something that the players themselves, and I think even head coach Kelvin Sampson has mentioned, this is a team that loves to play in transition. They want to play more up-tempo. They feel that they're at their best when they are finishing possessions, obviously in the defensive end by crashing defensive rebounds, but pushing the floor, pushing the pace. And it was really pivotal for Houston. There was a couple times during that run in the second half that they got ignited by their defense. You mentioned JoJo Tugler and the 3 blocks that he had. A couple of those blocks led to, one of them I know most definitely led to an Emmanuel Sharp 3 in the fast break transition. That's going to be one of the key aspects for him, which it's good in a way because we know that that's Houston's identity. That's what their calling card has been, is making plays with defense. And that's where they're going to have to excel at. They do want to make a deep run come March and obviously even into April.
Yeah, I think strengthening up the half court would definitely help out. And as far as, I seen TCU go into a zone and they did throw Roberts in that middle. I think he can excel in that middle. If he really trusts himself and when he hit him at that high post, he just takes 1-2 dribbles and get to that rim. I don't think anybody can really stop him. He's strong with that left hand. He's very strong with that left hand, and everybody knows that. If he could just put in there right just a little bit more, when he can, I think he would be a solid person in the long run when they start going deep into the tournament. They're going to need him to score buckets. They can't have
I
him
agree.
having 8 rebounds and 8 points. He might need about 16 to carry the load to help LJ Cryer and those guys out.
I agree 100%. And even if he isn't getting at least 16, at least be aggressive to score, because sometimes their best offense is getting it on the rim and giving the rebounders a chance to get an offensive rebound. But like you said, he has to be aggressive to score, especially in the big games against big time teams, because he's the upperclassman. I think they looking for him to kind of set that tone. And I think he can do it. I just think it's about confidence with him. When I watch him, it just seems more about confidence and being able to just to be aggressive and do what he's been working on since 6 years at U of H. But Emmanuel, man, he stepped up big time. He stepped up big time. Offense was kind of lagging, and like you said, the transition got it going. But Emmanuel stepped up, and when you have shooters like LJ and Emmanuel running the wings for a point guard like Los, that's prime opportunity for one to push the ball to attack and just get the ball in the open shooter. So I think he can do a more conscious of him and LJ, I will say, to pushing the pace. And even their guards, Emmanuel, pushing up the pace. But I like what I've seen from Emmanuel. What have you seen from Emmanuel from his tenure? I think now the offense, he's one of those other players that needs to be more consistent, being more, I would say, more well-rounded scorer versus just a catch and shoot guy. I think he can catch and shoot with that next evolution of his offense and be able to attack the closeout and be able to get to the free throw line and just be a more well-rounded scorer.
He matches Coach Sampson's image more than anybody on the team right now. He gets the defense, he understands the offense. Like you said, he's a shooter. And that's the thing we talk about the offense. We have Cryer, that's a shooter. We have Sharp, that's a shooter. Can they make plays? Yes. Are they playmakers? Right. Not really. You see the difference between Jamal Shed, Marcus Sasser. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they make the people around them better. Yeah. Now, do Cryer and Sharp make people better? Yes, but there's levels to how much better you can make a player. Agreed. And that's kind of what they lack as far as just. Like you said, like if Sharp can just not shoot three, because Cryer supposed to be only a 3-point shooter itself, a scorer, a bucket getter, but not off the dribble.
Right.
So who scores off the dribble, without, a ball screen coming downhill and kicking it to make a play? We don't really have too many of those players. I feel like Mercy Miller will be that kind of player when he, gets into that role.
Shot. Yep.
But the one thing everybody has to do at U of H is buy into the defense. And if they don't buy into the defense, they're not going to get on the court. They have to learn to earn coaches' trust on defense before they can get out there. I mean, I've been to a few practices, and I just know what's expected of those guys, and it's at an elite level. And I love that because he doesn't expect anything else but for you to go out there and give 110% every night. And that's why we'll always be dangerous, because our practices are harder than the games.
And the defense is elite. I know we've been talking about offense, but the defense is elite and has been that. I mean, holding a team to what 45 points?
Yes.
46 points. 46 points. And during the game, first half, they were like, will they get to 44 points? And they just got to 46. And that just shows the level of defense that Houston plays. And like Coach Kellen often says, our road games are street fights. That defense can keep them in games on the road. At home, they're going to have their mojo and play a little bit offensively. But on the road, that defense is going to keep them in games and even going to the tournament looking forward. But they got to be just more consistent on the offensive end. And just watching, I'm just looking at ways like, what can they do? But I like the depth, though, because at any given game, you can't just look at a player like we stop him, we beat Houston. I think that plays into Houston's strength as well, and having multiple players who can get you.
You can't scout that. Yeah, that's a fact.
10, 15 plus that can help win the game. And I think that really helps Houston a lot.
Yeah, you don't know who's going to have that night. It could be Sharp hitting five threes. It can hit Cryer hitting 5 threes. You could have Roberts getting 15 and 15. You just don't know whose night is going to be. As long as they're not in foul trouble, we have some dangerous players out there at all times.
Let's take a quick break. And I'd like to first and foremost thank each and every single person that's taking the time out of their Monday night to join us here on this edition of Let's Rage Coogs, or maybe you're watching us Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, whenever you may be. We appreciate you to taking the time and consuming Let's Rage Coogs, however that may be. If it is on YouTube, be sure to hit the like button on wherever it's Houston Roundball Review or the Potsdam Majama YouTube channel. If it's on X, make sure that you hit the follow button if this is your first time ever encountering the Potsdam Majama channel. And of course, we also like to say thank you to our primary sponsor for today's episode of Let's Rage Coogs, and that is the Saxenian Family. A big thank you to Mr. Steve Saxenian, who's been the primary sponsor of not only tonight's episode of Let's Rage Coogs, but he has been for each and every single post-game show going back to the football season. Of course, we also like to say thank you to today's secondary sponsor, and that's Star Pizza, with their locations throughout the Houston area. Star Pizza is your go-to stop before or after the game. Be sure to visit any one of their 3 locations and visit them online at starpizza.net or on social media at starpizzahou. You mentioned the defense. The Houston Cougars, now 7 straight games that they've held their opponents under 55 points. That's just a phenomenal defense that they've been able to play really since they came back from Vegas. I don't think that's a coincidence in terms of what really the focus has been for the course of December, when they've had a lot of practices and not that many games sprinkled in. Kind of looking at this game in particular for Houston, you guys mentioned the depth that this team has. It was something that was brought up on the ESPN broadcast as well. It's something that Terrence Arsenal spoke about last week or 2 weeks ago when he did a media availability. But he says that the thing about this team that he likes so well is about the explosiveness. He felt personally that this is the best 3-point shooting team he's been around, just in terms of his time at U of H and the number of guys that on any given night, like y'all said, could go off for multiple points. And it makes it harder where it's not just, the game plan. Let's stop Emmanuel Sharp. We're good. There could be a night where LJ Cryer has it going. There could be a night where Miles has it going. Shoot, there could be a night where Terrence, someone else, even Jawan Roberts has it going. That's what makes this team, the potential of this team offensively to be lethal. And like you guys mentioned, if they're playing as well as the defense like they have been for over a month now, they're going to have the opportunity to win any game regardless of who the opponent is on the other end. A little pause for concern, because since there isn't necessarily that one guy that can consistently be that playmaker, sometimes they go on those drops like we saw tonight against TCU at the end of the first half and into the second. But the potential for explosivity is there, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah. I mean, they're a very unselfish team. I'm going to give props to Cryer and Sharp, because you know what? They could probably put up more shots, but they play the right way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They play the right way. Even Roberts, he had 3 assists tonight as a big. Like, he's going to play the right way. If they double him, he's going to hit somebody. So it's a bit like no other team, even the player like teams like Duke and all those other guys, I don't see but 2 or 3 players on that team that you have to really scout. On U of H, you really can't scout anybody because you don't know what's going on. Like, we have 6 or 7 players that can score double figures. Other teams don't have that luxury. So we're so deep. Like, when you talk about going deep into the tournament, like, we know who to scout when we play against certain teams because they have 1 or 2 guys. We don't have any superstars. We have great players. We don't have any superstars. How do you scout that when you don't know who's going to have the night?
Yep. And to add to that, I think early in this year when we lost to, it was Auburn, in which we were struggling. And one thing I learned a lot, and I kind of take it back to last season, is LJ, although he shot 20-something shots, but just the willingness to step up when the team needs it. To me, just watching that game and just kind of forward thinking, I know if it comes to a point to where someone is struggling, he'll step up to be able to try to be aggressive enough to get others going.
Yeah.
And although he might not be the one or be a person that can just get you off the dribble, he has the experience, he has the talent and the ability to at least be a threat all over the floor. And I think with him being aggressive in spots, but at the same time playing well, like to your point, I mean, playing the right way. And so it's not going to be a game where no one forces anything. But to my point, LJ, will step up, I think,
Yeah.
and even Emmanuel. I think Emmanuel will as well. I think
Yeah,
really
for
multiple
sure.
players will
I,
do it.
I was
Will
about to
do
say
it.
Francis. I mean,
Francis
Roberts is the
will,
same.
Roberts will, and I think
Roberts
Terrence
will
even
for
will, and
sure.
even Malik, how he's playing right now,
Yeah,
9 point.
yeah.
Like I think in moments I've seen it from different players. So like, okay, they'll step up. So I think just man, this team has the potential, I think, with their defense, but it does worries me when you play against a team that can score and defend just equally as well as you.
Yeah, I think
Because
like
you
a team
need
like
one of
Iowa
them that
State.
like who can beat you off the dribble. You need at some point you're gonna need that, or unless you
That's
can initiate offense in a different way.
that's very true. I mean, I feel like Jamal Shell won a lot of games in that last 5 minutes. Like, you know what? We're having a bad game. I'm going to make something happen. I'm going to
Mhm.
make a play happen. And I think LJ is taking on that role. Sharp has taken on that role. They just have to continue to do it. You know, they started off a little sluggish, but I feel like they're kicking it up right now, and they have a good momentum going into conference play.
Yeah. And then with they're able to, I think, with the defense, they were able to cause 19 turnovers, but they was able to turn those turnovers into points. I think that's important. Not only
Very.
playing great defense and getting rebounds, but when you create those turnovers, that's another way to get out in transition and be able to create points off your turnovers. So your defense in the offense, like you said, igniting your offense with your defense. And I think they got to be a more conscious effort of continuing to do that. When you get them steals, push it. I mean, whether you score or not, that still puts pressure on the defense. And I think without having that quote unquote go-to guy, I think they have to continue to do that. And I think this is going to be a masterful year for Coach Sam to coach, because like we're talking about, you can't just put the ball in Jamal's hands or different players' hands. In my opinion, this even more coaching job for him to, okay, how do I put these players in the best way to continue to have the success that we know that we can have, but even be able to achieve what we want to achieve.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we talk about the defense, but like we said, like that's our image. You know, we're not a high scoring offensive team. Our half court, is something that we struggle with. And when teams see us struggle in the half court, they might want to slow the game down. And that's the thing that scares me when it's tournament time, because all you have to do is lose one time and you're done. So if somebody figures that out and we can't fix it in time, that's what scares me. I'm not worried about the defense. I'm not worried about the toughness. I'm not worried about the rebounds. I'm worried about the half court offense.
For someone who's actually been to practice and got some insight with the staff, what do you feel like set Coach Sampson apart, primarily what he's done with Houston and how he's built the program up?
He doesn't accept anything but hard work, respect, the desire. He's not going to teach effort. If he has to teach effort, you won't play and you'll be out of there. You already have to come in there with the mindset that matches his. So if you don't come in there with that mindset, with that dog mentality, being selfless, going hard, you're not going to make it. But he also shows so much love, and he's a teacher. So not only is he just barking at you, he's teaching you. So he's like a coach any player would want to play for. That will be. He recruited me when I was playing in JUCO. He was coaching in Oklahoma. I made a mistake by not going to somebody like him. He loves his players, but he also demands 100% effort at all times. I don't care if it's for a rebound, a loose ball. I don't care if it's walking to the front door first. Like, he wants you to have that mentality to go get it. And I love that. But at the same time, he's charismatic, man. He's a great dude. And he makes the players feel loved. If you got a player that's getting barked at and he's like, man, F this coach. And with these new nil deals and players going place to place, if you don't got that love, number one, you're not going to play hard that year. And number two, you out of there. So I feel like that's what kind of separates Coach, man. And it's not just Coach Sampson. That's the thing. It's the other Sam, his son. You got Quanis.
Yeah.
You know, you have all of these people with this team that all bought into the same system, and they can talk to anybody about anything, and they're all going to match the same intensity. I don't care if it's the manager. The manager's going to sprint for, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
the whole team, the whole atmosphere over there is based from the top, and all the way from the bottom, everybody's just matching his energy, and I just love it over there.
On that note, we're going to bring in Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review, who's joining us from the Fertitta Center. Kris, first and foremost, how you doing, sir? Hope you're staying warm inside the Fertitta Center.
It finally got warm and they closed the doors. You know, that took to like halftime for them to do that. But yeah, and it's good to see this man. He probably doesn't remember me covering him way back when he played ball for Houston, but I'm part of the old media that used to cover the Cougars back in those days. So I'm still here.
Yes,
these
sir.
young dudes like Dayon and Andy. I just want to say this. I don't know if you guys heard it during the post game, but TCU's Noah Reynolds made a comment about Houston's defense, especially the double teams and the baseline drives. Noah said, and he's a grad transfer, so he's been around college for a while. He said the Cougars don't make mistakes on defense, on those rotations. They are where they're supposed to be. The help is where it's supposed to be. He said it like 3 times. They don't make mistakes on those dribble drives, baseline. We knew it was going to happen, and they still were right there. And 19 turnovers for TCU. Coach Dixon for TCU was not happy. He was disappointed in his team for so many mistakes. But he said a few times, you got to give Houston credit. They're the number 1 defense in the country for a reason. But to hear a player say it, for the opposing team to talk about your defense like that and give them so much credit. They don't make mistakes on defense. That's high praise, man.
For sure. And
as a player, Jamar, how tough is it to prepare? I mean, because you watch film, you should have scouted them for it, but when you actually get out there and the team is everywhere on film where you see they are and they're playing exactly like, how do you react as a player? How are these players? Is it surprising or how is?
To be honest, I'm on the other end of that spectrum because I went to U of H and we preached defense as well, and we were top 3 in the country on defense as well. So I never really came across a defense like ours, playing at U of H. So when you say that, I kind of I get it.
Yep.
Because we didn't make mistakes when I played there. We didn't have the offensive prowess of the team that we had that they have right now, or the coach. But when it came to defense, we were locked in.
Yep.
And everybody holds everybody accountable.
And that's key. That is key to defense. And
Jamar,
just talk about how important it is to communicate on defense too.
Oh, 100%. Everybody. And the thing is, if you watch them talk, you got the bigs talking, you got the guards talking, you got the guys on the bench tuned in. Everybody's locked in. So, you guys there?
Yeah.
Okay.
He did that. Yeah, we're good, man. Keep on going.
Yeah, everybody's locked in. And when you got that type of system, it comes from coach. Last guy on the bench to the starter on the team, everybody's talking. Communication is key. Because every once in a while you will get beat, but is the help going to be there?
Right.
And the help is talking in the back. Hey, I got you. And then the rotations are so precise, like you said. The defense, you're going to struggle.
They're on a string. When you see and Coach, he was asked about Noah's comment as the last question of the press conference, and the question was worded a little bit different. It was just don't make mistakes, not about on defense. But he got to defense as he does in his long answers, and he said the team has gotten better. They're playing January defense now. They've gotten better from November, and it's Coach Sampson team get better month to month, and that's what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's part of the progress. And about the offense, it made adjustments. TCU made a point. If Juwan Roberts is on the block, as soon as he got the pass, they were double teaming him.
Mm-hmm.
So the adjustment was you put one up high and put him involved in high ball action, beat the double team from TCU, and you saw much more penetration from Juan, and he opened up kickouts for threes. That was the adjustment on offense right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was bring him up higher. That way he can see the double team coming, and there's more space for him to operate. And I think with the shooters that they have, I think spacing is key. Spacing is key. And I think the guards are more comfortable. All three starting guards, from Los to Emmanuel to LJ. I think watching them, their chemistry is a lot better. They know where each other's going to be, and I think that they're fully settled in as far as in unison with each other. Just primarily the guards and the bigs. We're the whole starting five, I would say. But with the guards, I think they're seeing the floor, and I'm noticing a lot more chemistry with them, primarily with Los. He seems like he's well ingrained into the Houston culture now.
I don't know if you guys, I'm assuming you did, but if you didn't, Coach said it, and I kind of knew about it. Cordell Jefferson didn't play, didn't dress. He was sick. LJ Cryer is sick, and Coach Sampson mentioned that they left up to LJ whether or not he wanted to play tonight. That's how sick he was. So LJ gave it a go, and you could see him he just wasn't all there 100%. So he played as long as he could. So that's why there was no Cordell. So when Coach emptied the bench, you saw Lowe still in the game. They'd have another guard. Because Mercy was in the game. Cordell wasn't there because Cordell was home. Yeah, so I think the bug's going through the team right now. So hopefully they'll be done with it by Saturday.
Okay. I was wondering why Los was still in the game. I'm like, why is he still in the game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Real quickly, I'd like to put another pause and once again say thank you to today's sponsors on this edition of Let's Rage Coogs, beginning with Steve Saxenian, who has been the primary sponsor of Let's Rage Coogs going back to the football post-game shows. A big thank you to the Saxenian family and Mr. Steve Saxenian himself. Of course, we also like to shout out our secondary sponsor on today's episode of Let's Rage Coogs, which is Star Pizza. With 3 locations throughout the Houston area, Star Pizza is your go-to stop before or after the game. Be sure to check them out online at starpizza.net or on social media at StarPizza HOU on X or Star Pizza Houston, Texas on Instagram. And when you do visit any one of the locations, tell them that you heard about them on Let's Rage Coogs, constantly having daily specials. And be sure to check them out on Tuesdays and Fridays for their all-you-can-eat pizza buffet lunch special. Kris, obviously you were at the game at the Fertitta Center. I'm kind of curious to get your thoughts. Like we talked about before you hopped on, Houston exploded out of the gates offensively, did not miss a shot, 6 for 6. Then they hit a lull, and like you said, TCU's defense did a great job, and then Houston made an adjustment in that second half. Took them a while, but they kind of got it back going towards the end and were able to create separation. And interesting, when you look at the stats, despite that struggle to end the first half, Houston still ended up shooting 48% from the field and 42% from the three-point line. So the Cougars will take those numbers any day. What did you feel about Houston's overall performance in this game against TCU?
I think this game kind of summed up what the Cougars, this team will be. They're going to get hot. They can get hot. They will go cold in the same game. But unlike previous Cougs teams, they can get hot again in the same game 2 or 3 times. And that's what happened tonight. Coach Jamie Dixon said some of the defense that TCU played tonight is kind of patterned after Houston. But they don't have enough. They don't have enough of what Houston has. And he admitted that. I think TCU has one returning player, scholarship player, and that's Ernest Uday. So everything he's doing, he's trying to get TCU to get to a level of Houston. We didn't have the experience. These guys weren't here last year trying to learn the system, trying to learn TCU's defense. The Cougs, everybody knows it. Los is the one new starter, and then you got the freshman in. Other than that, everybody is returning. So the defense should be locked in because they're used to playing this way. But it's still, it's easy to talk about it. It's easy to practice on it. You still got to do it in games. And that's what this team is doing. And you got LJ Cryer, Emmanuel Sharp, and give a shout out to Malik Wilson. Coach Sampson credited Malik for improving on his game. Coach said how proud he is of what Malik has done to make himself a reliable, especially from the corner 3. He's much more reliable from that corner 3 spot now, and it just adds to the offensive capabilities for this team.
To add to the kudos to him, I mean, he stayed ready because there were portions there after the Las Vegas games where his minutes kind of dwindled, and he was ready to go whenever the opportunity came again after Ramon Walker got injured.
And you never know. You got to stay ready. That way, be ready. So, stay ready. And he made his 5 shots against BYU in his first 2 or 3 tonight. He's playing well. Then he rebounded the ball too. He's playing a nice, complete game.
And he doesn't seem to be looking over his shoulder anymore. He seems to be playing freely. And that's what I like about him. I think when he plays freely and plays within himself, knowing that he can attack and use athleticism, his length to get to the basket, we need that. He's one of the few guards that we have that can actually break the defense down and get inside the paint. Now it's about just making a decision, whether it be aggressive to score or just making the right play. But I love what I've seen from Malik since conference play started. But back to another point that Jamar made earlier that you just alluded to, Kris, with Jamie Dixon, you got to give credit to Coach Sampson and the culture and be able to retain players and not losing players to the portal year to year. There's a few players here and there that they've lost over the years, but an entire roster, you haven't seen that from Houston. Maybe one player here and there, but being able to retain players, and that goes to what Jamar talking about, the culture and the love and the passion that Coach Sampson is building. And I think players want to come and be a part of that because he's going to bring the best out of them while still loving them as a father and as a coach.
And Jamar, when I was able to join the show, I think he was touching on it. And Coach Sampson has said it to anybody who's listening. Coach knows he recruits certain players. Okay, you have to be tough enough to handle Coach. He's gonna keep it to you and give it to you straight.
Yeah, you got to be coachable for sure.
And if you can handle that, don't want to handle that, don't come here. No, Coach is going to tell you that straight up. If you can handle tough love, don't come here. In this generation, there's some youngsters,
That can't
some
handle it.
parents of those youngsters, some of their hangers-on who want them to be coddled and all that kind of stuff. Don't come here.
Very true.
And that's what is so impressive about the five-star kids that Jarris Walker came here. Now you got others coming in next year. Those guys want to be coached hard. So you combine talent and developed talent and want to be coached hard, be coached. The future is still bright. Going to get brighter for this program.
They're going to be able to reach their full potential.
Yes.
You know, you go to a school where they allow a superstar player to do what he wants to do, you know, maybe reach on defense and not really play solid defense. You're going to pick up bad habits. Yeah, he might get drafted or whatever, but their team's not going to win.
Right.
No, these kids are coming. These kids are coming to win a national championship.
And you can see it. You can see, and I mean this as one of Coach's cliches. You can see certain talented players who you want to play against because they don't play winning basketball.
Yeah, or you can outwork them.
Or that too. You can outwork them. So hey, I'm good with that.
And that's one thing you don't have to worry about with Roberts, Cryer, Sharp. You're not going to outwork those guys. They work so hard in practice that the games are a lot easier for them.
Yes. And that's why me, Andy, Dayon, the fans, why we were critical of Juwan Roberts early in the season, because he wasn't working as hard as he wasn't up to his potential. And now he's doing that. And the standard is set for this program. You don't work hard, you don't play. Especially on defense. You don't play.
Yeah.
It's non-negotiable.
Let's go put the ball on your point, Kris, just in terms of what Kelvin Sampson always says. Obviously, when you talk about recruitment, you talk about the players choosing schools, but Kelvin Sampson always says they pick the players as well to make sure that they're the right fit for the Cougars program. I want to bring up this comment from me at Crabtree on YouTube. It says, Houston forced TCU into season-high 19 turnovers and held the Horned Frogs to 4 assists on 20 field goals. Really solid defensive performance from U of H tonight. Jamar, there's a question for you, Mr. Big Tesco, alluding to the U of H's offensive struggles that they run into every now and then. Is it as simple as just running different sets, or what is kind of the key to being able to get more offensive consistency on a night in and night out basis?
I think that just boils down to individual talent in the half court. Like full court, we're fine. Fast break, we're probably one of the best in the country. But when we get stagnant and we have to really go out there and get a bucket, we don't have that go-to guy to really go get us a bucket. Like I said, we don't know who's going to score 20, 15, 10 each night because we have so much talent. But as far as an elite scorer or an elite playmaker, I don't see us having that consistently.
Yes.
Well, can LJ Cryer be elite tonight and tomorrow? Yes, but can he be next week and the week after that and the week after that? Can you be continuously reliable? That's my thing. Are they reliable? Yes. Consistently for the whole season after scouting reports and, you know, maybe an off night. Like, what can you do if you're having an off night if you're LJ Cryer? Like, if Jamal Shed was having an off night, we knew he was getting to that paint and creating for somebody else. Ball handling wise, we don't have that right now. And I think that our half court is probably our main weakness. And I don't really want to expose our weakness because I don't want other teams to, I mean, I'm pretty sure they know, but, our half court needs to, get kicked up. And I think that's just going to come from continuously working. And who knows, it's January, we got February, March. Maybe, Cryer and Sharp can find a way to ignite that offense when it is in one of those dull moments. Because it's not really going to come from too many of our bigs. Our bigs are rim protectors,
right.
Finishers. They might drop a dime, one or two, but we're not just going to go to our big and be like, hey, you know what, give us 20 and 10 tonight.
And I think
speaking of big,
Milo's could be that guy sometimes too. Yeah.
Want to bring up this comment, see what you guys think. I know I said this on a different another show that we had is I kind of see that Montrezl Harrell game in J1. Not ultra athletic, undersized, big, but with the energy and effort, he can finish around the rim. But I'm interested in you. You had a long pro career. What's your take on how Robert's game translates to the next level, whether it be NBA?
I mean, I feel like that's not a bad comparison. Montrez was a hell of a player. He made 6 Man of the Year. I think Montrez was just a little bit more grittier than Juwan.
I agree with that. Yep. Just
a little bit more grittier. I mean, size-wise, Juwan, I feel like he's bigger. Dog-wise, I think sometimes he could be too nice.
Thank you. Yes.
We've been saying that.
And in this game, you can't be too nice. You can't be too cool. You gotta, and I'm not saying that he's too cool player because he's a dog, but sometimes he wants to be a little bit too nice, and that's just his personality, and that's kind of hard to change. It's hard to change somebody's personality, but for him to channel where he wants to be, when these scouts start to, I know they're already watching him, but I'm pretty sure they're in their ears talking about, well, is he a dog? Can he go out here and, make a real, can you affect the game in the way we need you to affect the game?
Yeah, I think he'll get a look. He's got to go to the right team, the right coach for sure.
Yeah.
And then he'll get a look because of who he is, but also because of who Coach Sampson is. Yeah. And then it's up to him to do what it takes to stick and stay.
It's going to be up to him to stick and stay.
Yeah.
A little bit of luck based on, like you said, based off of where he goes, what workouts that he has lined up and what summer league team he happens to go with. Lord willing, he gets drafted. It's still a long season. Maybe this tournament can make his stock go up a lot more.
Yeah.
And that's just going to be, only time will tell with that. Is he an NBA player in this game? Yeah. But there are going to be a lot of J1s out there.
Right.
So what's going to separate him? They know he's a winner. That's proven. But what else are you going to do to separate that?
Yeah. Being a winner will get him a look.
That's a fact.
And some fans, hell, some players and some parents don't believe that. We could tell them Jamar's a player. Winning
take care of everything.
Winning gets you a look from some teams, especially the teams that win. The winning programs, they win consistently for a reason. Okay. And you lose consistently for a reason. You develop bad habits and it just repeats itself. But winning does it as well.
And he's a huge part of the success of the Cougs over these last few years. He's a huge part of the success. You can't take anything from him. He does what he needs to do to get the win.
the most winningest player in the history of the University of Houston Cougars men's basketball program, and
There,
just 3 points shy of hitting 1,000 career points.
there
Which
you have it.
he'll probably get in the upcoming game on Saturday against Kansas State. Kind of looking ahead a little bit, the Cougars will be playing in Manhattan, Kansas on Saturday evening, 5 p.m. a central tip-off. It'll be on the road. That game will be on ESPN Plus. Again, this upcoming Saturday, January 11th. Kansas State really struggled in non-conference, but shoot, they beat this TCU team on the road. Just
No. They lost in the last few seconds.
Oh, they lost to TCU?
Yep. They were up 4 and lost by 1. Yep.
So TCU, well, that's right. They were 1-1 heading into the game.
Yep. So when I gave you the update,
still scrappy
when I
team.
gave you the update, TCU scored the last 5 points and won the game.
Well,
so yeah.
That just shows to go to the Big 12. But that being said, it's still a scrappy team and
no
at
doubt.
home.
And they need to win.
In Manhattan, Kansas.
they need the win desperately.
Well, the thing about the Big 12 is, on any given night, you can get popped if you don't bring it.
Yes.
Every team still has talent. Even at the bottom of the league, they still have talent, and you still have to bring it every night. And that's the joy of watching the Big 12 basketball.
And you have to respect your opponent.
Very true.
Especially on the road. It's going to be every team's biggest games when Houston come to town. So they got to expect that, in which they do.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as the stomach bug, whatever it is going through, some of the players is done with by Saturday, to give themselves the best chance possible to win inside the octagon of doom, as they call it up there, it's going to be a hell of a game because it's a road game and it's a home game for K-State, and they need to pad that resume, So,
and Houston has a target on their back at all times.
Yes.
We're not number 1 in the country, but we're still one of the top dogs out there. We have a target on our back. Everybody's going to get up for our games, so we have to find a way to get up for everybody else right away. We don't want to get.
And this point is correct.
K-State beat Cincinnati at home in the conference opener by 3 points. So they were really close to being 2-0 to start conference play after struggling in non-conference. So scrappy team.
And their non-conference, I think their non-conference schedule is pretty tough, I think. And so they just lost some buzzer beaters, overtime games. So they're a Big 12 team. They got talent, but they're one of those teams that has, newcomers that's still trying to mesh together and all that as well. So it takes a while for everything to fit and click. But it's a game that the Cougs can win. It won't be easy because the road game in the Big 12, but it's a game the Cougs can win. I believe that for sure.
They'll definitely be prepared.
No doubt. Oh, Andy, I don't know if who was it? I think it might have been Crabtree. I was wrong on Saturday. The win over BYU Saturday was not a quad 1 win.
Quad 2.
It's a quad 2 win because BYU's ranking, if it were a road game for the Cougs, it would have been a quad 1. But the quad 1 for home opponents is 1 to 30, and BYU's like 39. So that's why it was a quad 2, not a quad 1. So I was wrong on that Saturday.
Well, that being said, that's pretty much going to do it for tonight's episode of Let's Rage Coogs. Once again, a big thank you to every person that took the time out of their Monday night to join us and comment on the show. Once again, thank you to Steve Saxenian for being a primary sponsor. And also a thank you to Mike and Jennifer Pittman with Star Pizza for being a secondary sponsor on today's episode of Let's Rage Coogs. Once again, the final score, the 12th ranked Houston Cougars, who moved up in both the AP poll and the coaches poll. They went up to 11th in the coaches poll. That was released today on Monday. Come out victorious over TCU 65-46 from the Fertitta Center. Emmanuel Sharp led the way scoring wise with 14 points. Coincidentally enough, finished 5 of 9 from the field, which was the exact same stat line that he had on Saturday. LJ Cryer had 10 points. So when I come shooting percentage, LJ Cryer had 10 points, 4 for 9 shooting. Jawan Roberts had 12 points, 4 rebounds. Malik Wilson, 9 points, 5 rebounds. Javier Francis, 4 points, 5 rebounds as well. And Milos Uzan had 9 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists in this game. Like I said, the return of action Saturday, 5 p.m. Central, tip-off time from Kansas, and that will be on ESPN+. Kris, I'll toss it over to you. Any final thoughts, and we'll go around go around the screens. Any final thoughts on this game and looking ahead?
Well, salute to Dayon for getting Jamar Thorpe on the show. Salute to Jamar for joining us and adding his insight. That's what we do here on Let's Rage Coogs. You know, folks, help us grow, help us get bigger, bigger. Jamar, hope you can do it again, man. Where are you, man? Are you in H-Town?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, Dayon, brother, we got to get you down here, man, for one of these pizza nights, man. We got to get you down here. Jamar, you come to a game, got to get you a game ticket, credential, whatever, so you can have some of this.
I
this
planned
star
on
pizza.
coming today. I waited too long to get there, and I had a little birthday dinner tonight. But I'm definitely going to be up in there, and I'll probably catch the next home game.
Yeah, just let us know. Give us, enough notice so we can get the sponsor to deliver some pizza for us. You can have some of the star pizza as well.
Sounds good.
And then let me go ahead and say it. Thank you, everybody, for your comments. Had a lot of folks tuning in. That's great to see. A late night. But yes, Houston Round Bar Review been around since 1994. So I'll just say that again. 1994. Houston Round Bar Review, local name, global perspective.
And just to piggyback on him, I just want to say thank you guys for having me. I definitely appreciated you guys. This has been fun. And if you guys need me back, I would love to get back on the show.
Shoot, consider this an open invitation. Whenever you want to be back, you're more than welcome.
All right.
Yeah, like Diana said, open invitation. Definitely appreciate you taking the time to join us. I mean, it's insight that you have that we didn't play in college or overseas. So we appreciate you. Coogs helping Coogs. You see the shirt, Five Slammer Jammer. So he's one of us. So we appreciate you for joining us, man. Anytime, you see it, baby, head to toe. And so, man, open invite. And as always, man, any win, loss, win, lose, or draw, it's always go Cougs.
Go Cougs.